So, where do I even begin with this one? I'm still processing everything that happened over the past few months, but I figured you guys might appreciate this wild ride. Grab your Starbucks or whatever you're sipping on and buckle up. 2 years ago, I quit my cushy job at a tech company in San Francisco to work on my dream project, a health mentorship app I called WellMatch. The concept was simple but powerful, connecting people with certified health coaches who could provide personalized guidance through video calls, progress tracking, and accountability check-ins. I spent countless nights coding in my tiny apartment, surviving on cup noodles and Red Bull while perfecting every detail. My best friend Amanda and I had been tight since college. We were the dynamic duo, me with my UI/UX skills and her with the gift of gab that could charm anyone. When I finally felt ready to share my nearly completed project with someone, she was naturally my first choice. "Zoe, this is absolutely brilliant," she said, flipping through my business plan at this cute little cafe in Mission District. "The interface is gorgeous. And this health mentorship angle? Total game changer." I beamed with pride as she asked question after question. How did I plan? To verify the credentials of health coaches? What algorithms was I using for matching? Had I considered approaching specific investors? I shared everything: my code architecture, market research, the works. I even showed her my pitch deck and the logo I designed after about 50 different iterations. "Launch is in 30 days, I told her, practically bouncing in my seat. "I just need to finalize the security protocols and run one more round of user testing." Amanda raised her latte. "To changing the health tech game. This is going to be huge." I had no idea those words would come back to haunt me in the worst possible way. 3 weeks later, I was scrolling through LinkedIn when I saw it. A post from Amanda announcing the launch of Health Mentor, complete with screenshots of an interface that looked eerily familiar. My stomach dropped faster than the time I rode Superman at Six Flags. "No way," I whispered, my hands shaking, as I clicked through to the website. But there it was, my app, with a slightly altered color scheme and a reverse logo. My heart was pounding like I'd just chugged 3 cans of Monster. I called her immediately, straight to voicemail, texted. No response, emailed, nothing. Finally, I created a fake profile and signed up for her launch webinar. There she was, my PowerPoint slides practically copy-pasted, presenting my research as if she'd done it herself. "I've been developing Health Mentor for years," she told the audience with a smile that made me want to throw my laptop across the room. "And I'm thrilled to announce we've just secured $1.5 million in seed funding from Horizon Ventures." That was the investor I had been planning to approach, the one I'd specifically mentioned to her. I could have gone nuclear right then. Lawyer up, blast her on social media, the works. But something stopped me. Maybe it was shock, or maybe it was the realization that I needed to be smarter than that. So I watched, and I waited, and I planned. Updated. The next week was like watching someone else live the life I'd built for myself. Amanda was everywhere. TechCrunch, Product Hunt, even a segment on a local news channel about innovative women in tech. Meanwhile, I was holed up in my apartment, alternating between crying into my Ben & Jerry's and plotting my next move. My phone kept blowing up with notifications. Mutual friends asking if I'd seen Amanda's amazing new app. Industry colleagues congratulating her. Even my mom called to ask if I'd seen that health app thing that reminded her of what I was working on. "Yeah, Mom, I've seen it," I mumbled, not ready to explain the whole mess. I downloaded Health Mentor and signed up with a fake name. It was surreal scrolling through what was essentially my creation. Same user flow, same features, even some of the same placeholder text I'd forgotten to change in a few places. The only major differences were the color scheme. She'd swapped my teal and white for purple and gray, and the name. But as I dug deeper, I started noticing things. Gaps in the security protocol, redundancies in the code that I'd flagged for cleanup before my launch, database vulnerabilities that could be serious problems at scale. See, what Amanda didn't realize is that what she stole was essentially a beta version, good enough to demo, but not ready for prime time, and certainly not ready for the thousands of users now downloading it daily. I took a day off from my pity party and drove down to Half Moon Bay. Something about the ocean always clears my head. Sitting there on the beach, watching surfers battle the waves while I munched on Cheez-Its, I finally had my moment of clarity. I couldn't out Amanda. She had the connections, the charisma, and now my product. But I had something she didn't: the complete vision and the technical knowledge to execute it properly. That night, I called Daniel, an angel investor who'd shown interest in my work months earlier, but whom I'd kept on the back burner. "I've been following this Health Mentor launch," he said when I finally explained the situation. Something about it seemed rushed to market. "That's because it was," I replied, "and there's a reason for that. I laid out the whole story, then shared my new plan. Not just the original Well Match, but Well Match 2.0, with features Amanda knew nothing about because they weren't in my prototype. Medical certification levels that would give users confidence. Integration with existing health tracking platforms. A machine learning component that would improve recommendations over time. And most importantly, the provisional patents I'd quietly filed months ago for key aspects of the matching algorithm. Daniel was silent for so long I thought the call had dropped. You're telling me she launched a product that infringes on your patents? Technically, the patents are still pending, I said. But yes, he whistled. And instead of suing immediately, you want to watch it play out, I finished for him. Let the product fail on its own due to the technical issues I know are there, then launch the superior version with proper backing. Another long pause. Then, I'm in, and I know a few others who will be too. Over the next 2 weeks, I assembled a small team of developers I trusted, working around the clock to build Well Match the right way. Meanwhile, Health Mentor was beginning to show cracks. User reviews mentioned random crashes. The matching algorithm was making bizarre recommendations. And their data protection was about as secure as leaving your diary open on a Starbucks table. Amanda did an interview with a tech podcast where she dodged technical questions so obviously that the comments section lit up with skepticism. Does she even know how her own app works? Was the top comment. Then came the security breach. Health Mentor's database was compromised, exposing user information. Not medical data, thankfully. My original architecture had at least separated that properly, but enough personal info to trigger some serious alarm bells. The tech blogs that had praised Health Mentor just weeks before were now publishing scathing analyses of its flaws. Amanda went on damage control, blaming growing pains and promising fixes. That's when I made my move. I anonymously sent documentation to Horizon Ventures, her investors, showing the patent applications and the striking similarities to my original work. I included a technical breakdown of why Health Mentor was fundamentally flawed, pinpointing exactly where it would continue to fail. 3 days later, Amanda announced an emergency maintenance period for Health Mentor. The app went offline. Horizon Ventures issued a carefully worded statement about reevaluating recent investments, and I launched Well Match. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. The health tech space was buzzing with conversation about what went wrong with Health Mentor, creating the perfect opening for a solution that actually worked. Within days, we were trending on Product Hunt. By the end of the week, we'd been featured in TechCrunch with the headline, Well Match delivers what Health Mentor promised. I still remember sitting in my living room, surrounded by empty pizza boxes and my exhausted but triumphant dev team, watching our user numbers climb. My phone dinged. With a text from Daniel. Told you. Genius moves. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. Not because Amanda was failing, but because I was succeeding. The right way. Updated. The next phase was like watching a slow-motion car crash, except I wasn't rubbernecking. I was in the driver's seat of the other car, safely cruising past. While Health Mentor remained temporarily unavailable for maintenance, rumors started swirling through Silicon Valley faster than Free La Croix at a networking event. Someone on Twitter claimed a friend at Horizon Ventures said they were pulling funding. Another tech blogger hinted at potential legal issues. Amanda's Instagram, usually bursting with perfectly filtered inspirational content, went radio silent. Meanwhile, Well Match was absolutely crushing it. We hit 10,000 users in our first week. The feedback was incredible. People loved the intuitive interface, which, I'd spent 2 years perfecting, and the quality of the Health Mentors. Turns out my rigorous verification process was actually a major selling point. I've tried like 5 wellness apps, one reviewer wrote, and this is the first time I've felt like the person on the other end actually knows what they're talking about. Daniel and his investment buddies were ecstatic. We secured an additional round of funding without even actively seeking it. Investors were coming to us after seeing the early performance metrics. I upgraded from my cup noodles diet to actual takeout. Living large, right? Laughing emoji. About 2 weeks after our launch, I was working late at our new, tiny but legitimate office space in Soma when my phone lit up with Amanda's name. My heart did this weird flippy thing like when you miss a step going downstairs. I let it go to voicemail. Then she texted, Zoe, we need to talk. Please. Followed by, I know you're behind Well Match. I know what you did. I nearly spit out my Phil's coffee. What I did? The audacity of this girl was next level. I waited an hour before responding. I'm free tomorrow. 3 p.m. at Sight Glass Coffee. I chose a public place partly for dramatic effect, not gonna lie, and partly because I wasn't sure I could keep my cool in private. I showed up 15 minutes early, claimed a table in the back, and ordered an oat milk latte to calm my nerves. When Amanda walked in, I barely recognized her. Gone was the polished tech entrepreneur who'd been giving interviews a month earlier, Her hair was in a messy bun, her usual flawless makeup replaced by dark circles under her eyes. "Hey," she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Her voice was small, nothing like the confident pitch voice she'd used to steal my investors. "Hey," I replied, keeping my face neutral. Thank God for those poker nights with my cousins during college. "So, well match?" She fidgeted with a sugar packet. "It's yours, isn't it? The original concept." I didn't answer directly. "How's Health Mentor doing?" She flinched like I'd thrown the sugar at her. "You know how it's doing. It's dead." Horizon pulled out completely after those anonymous tips about patent infringement and security vulnerabilities. She made air quotes around anonymous tips. "Interesting," I said, taking a slow sip of my latte. "Must be tough." "Cut the crap, Zoe." Her voice rose enough that a few nearby customers glanced over. She lowered it again. "You deliberately sabotaged me. You could have just told me you were working on the same idea." I set my cup down so hard the table shook. "The same idea? Amanda, I showed you my idea, my code, my business plan. You stole everything, even the freaking logo was a ripoff. I made significant changes. You flipped the icon and changed the colors," I cut in. "That's like stealing a Tesla and thinking painting it blue makes it yours." "I saw an opportunity and I took it," she said, defiant even now. "That's what entrepreneurship is. You were moving too slow, being too cautious. The market was ready. And look how that worked out for you." I couldn't keep the edge from my voice. "The market wasn't just ready for an app, Amanda. It was ready for an app that actually worked, that was built properly, that didn't compromise user data." She deflated a little. "I didn't understand all the technical stuff. I thought the developers I hired could figure it out. You launched a half-baked version of something you didn't understand, slapped your name on it, and expected it to succeed just because you can talk a good game." I leaned forward. "That's not entrepreneurship. That's fraud." Tears welled in her eyes, which honestly surprised me. I'd never seen Amanda cry, not even during The Notebook. "My reputation is ruined. No investor in the Valley will touch me now." For a split second, I felt bad for her. Then I remembered all those nights I cried myself to sleep while she was doing magazine interviews about her innovative vision. "What do you want from me, Amanda? An apology? For stealing my work? Or for making sure you didn't profit from it?" She wiped her eyes with a napkin. "I want a job." I nearly choked on my coffee. "Excuse me?" "At Wellmatch," she continued, straightening her shoulders. "Look, I know I messed up, massively, but you know I'm good at what I do. I can sell ice to Eskimos. Your app is amazing, but you need someone who can market it properly. Someone who can talk to investors, do the networking, all the stuff you hate." I stared at her, trying to process the absolute insanity of what she was suggesting. After everything, she wanted to join my company? The audacity was almost impressive. "You're serious right now?" "Dead serious." She leaned forward. "You don't have to like me. You don't even have to forgive me. But this is business, Zoe. Use me for what I'm good at." I sat back, studying her face. The same face that had smiled while stealing my dream, but also the same face that had helped me through breakups, celebrated my successes, and stayed up all night with me watching bad reality TV when I was down. "I'll think about it," I finally said, standing up to leave. "But I'm not making any promises." "That's all I'm asking for," she replied, relief washing over her features. As I walked out of the coffee shop, a plan was already forming in my mind. Amanda was right about one thing. She was an incredible salesperson. And maybe, just maybe, there was a way to use those skills while making sure she understood exactly who was in charge now. The next day, I sent her a formal job offer. Not for the VP of marketing position she'd clearly been angling for. No, I offered her a role in customer support. Entry level. The person who would have to deal with every complaint, every bug report, every frustrated user. Her reply came 2 hours later. "Are you serious?" I responded with one word. "Yes." Another hour passed before she responded again. "When do I start?" Final update. 6 months have passed since Amanda accepted that customer support job. She's actually pretty good at it. Turns out her charm works as well on frustrated users as it did on investors. I bumped her up to customer experience team lead last month, which she took with more gratitude than I expected. Wellmatch just closed our Series A funding round, $8 million, more than 5 times what Health Mentor initially raised. We're expanding to international markets next quarter, and our user base just crossed the 100,000 mark. Yesterday, Amanda and I stayed late at the office, sorting through user feedback for our next update. It was almost like old times, just 2 friends working together, bouncing ideas off each other. "I was thinking about adding a group coaching feature," I said. sketching a rough design on the whiteboard. She nodded thoughtfully. That could work. Users have been asking for something communal. As we gathered our things to leave, she paused by the door. You know, I deserve to be exactly where I am right now. Working my way up from the bottom, I just smiled. Everyone has to earn their place, Amanda. Even you. On the drive home, I realized something. The best revenge wasn't watching her fail or making her start over. It was building something so successful that her betrayal became just a footnote in my story, not the headline. And that's worth way more than any stolen idea.